It's a hat-trick weekend sweep for Rico Abreu. There were 3 different points leaders in 3 nights at Skagit, and the Tuscarora 50 is on the horizon for the High Rollers. It's time for another episode of the High Limit Room. Let's jump in. I'm Chase Rodman. Welcome back to the High Limit Room after a busy weekend up in the Pacific Northwest. We will recap it here today and talk about also the Tuscarora 50 that is coming up this weekend. Later on in the program, we'll be joined by Tony Laporta and Brian Walker as well. Let's jump into Skagit here, shall we? The highest paying race weekend in high limit history got underway on Thursday night at the Skagit Nationals with 39 cars signed in for action in northern Washington. A Rookie of the Year contender this year with high limit, Dason Pursley continued to show his early night speed with the Capital Custom Trailer Quick Time Award in his Skagit debut and grabbing 200 very important points in the special event format that we had over the 3 nights over there at Skagit Speedway. In the heat races on Thursday, those races were won by Colin Mackey, Danny Sams, Chase Randall, and Darren Pitman. Justin Sanders and Brad Sweet, the 2 drivers representing the top 2 in high limit racing points, encountered issues in their heat races, sending them both to the B main event. Sanders would go on to win the B main with Sweet in tow. In the A main, it was Skagit locals Colton Heath and Jason Solwald leading the field to the green, with Heath jumping out to the lead, and he looked strong early on in this race, but on lap 15, it was Justin Peck who would then move by and take the top spot as they encountered the back of the field. Peck was in search of his first win since Butler back on May 31st. He has been in a little bit of a lull here recently, but it looked like he was maybe going to break out of that, but it just was not meant to be, as Rico Abreu would find another gear around the halfway point in the race and start picking off a car a lap until he was at the head of the field and took the race lead with just 5 laps to go to score the opening night win from the 7th starting position. Justin Peck, Colton Heath, Tanner Thorson, and Dason Pursley completed the top 5 on night 1 of the Skagit Nationals. Justin Sanders put up a 21st to 6th place charge, which would land him and the Ridge and Sun Racing at the top of the high limit racing point standings after night number 1 over at the Skagit Nationals. Now, heading into Friday night, it was a question at this point: who could stop Rico Abreu, as he had won 3 in a row dating back to last year at the Alger, Washington facility? But the answer would be no one. Tanner Thorson would kick off the night with his 2nd Capital Custom Trailer Quick Time Award of his career and his 2nd of the week dating back to Douglas County on Monday night. The heat races on Friday were won by Chase Randall, Corey Eliason, Tanner Holmes, and Justin Peck. And it was a night full of issues for full-time high roller drivers, including Brad Sweet, Giovanni Selzy, Cy Lynch, and Darren Pitman, who was behind the wheel of the Jason Myers Racing 14. All of those drivers requiring a provisional to start the main event, meaning 28 cars would start the Friday night feature, which was, from what I was told by Caleb Hart, the most they'd ever seen in one main event at that facility in years past. Now, for the 2nd straight night, it was a very intriguing front row, with Rookie of the Year contender Danny Sams III alongside of Skagit local Jesse Schlotfeld, but also for the 2nd night in a row, it was Rico Abreu who would start from 7th and methodically work his way up through the field and take the lead with just 9 laps to go. It was a standout performance, however, for Robbie Price, as he scored his best ever high limit racing finish. He ran a 2nd place, with a 2nd place run, and he led 21 laps of that main event. Tyler Thompson would come home with a 3rd place run in a car that was put together just days before the Skagit Nationals began. Jason Solwald ran 4th, and Brenham Crouch got his best ever and his first ever top 5 finish against high limit racing in his 2 years of being a full-time driver. Brad Sweet would finish 13th from 25th and pass the Ridge and Sun Racing 87 back for the championship points lead heading into Saturday night's finale by just 3 points in the championship. Now, moving into Skagit night number 3, after 2 nights of point accumulation, it was Rico Abreu, Dason Pursley, Justin Peck, and Tanner Thorson. They were the 4 drivers that earned the most points, and they were locked into Saturday night's dash. The 4 qualifier winners that would join them in that dash: Corey Eliason, Jason Solwald, Justin Sanders, and Tyler Thompson. He would continue his good weekend and make his way into the dash as well on Saturday, with Peck and Pursley leading the field to the green for 40 laps at the Skagit Speedway for the highest paying race in series history. Justin Peck, with all of Skagit Speedway on his back, led more than 3/4 of the $126,000 to win main event and looked primed to take his biggest win of his career in Kevin Rudin's owned number 26 car. But as we've seen, for the previous 2 nights, Rico Abreu would roar to life late in the race and seize the lead for good. With just 8 laps to go, Abreu would score his second straight Skagit Nationals win and sweep the entirety of the weekend, leaving Washington with over $156,000 in purse money, and he would take over the High Limit Racing points lead by 10 over Justin Sanders and the Ridge & Sons Racing 87 and 35 points over Brad Sweet and the Casey Kane Racing 49. Amazingly, with 100 total laps of feature action on the weekend, Rico Abreu would win all 3 races, but only lead 22 laps in those A mains, and he was still able to get all 3 wins. Rico, call him the closer. I don't know what you want to call him, but he only led the race. I think he led every single main event within the last 10 laps of the feature, and a couple of them the last 5 as well. So a very interesting stat there as Rico now heads back to the Tuscarora 50, where he is the defending winner of that race. Let's jump into that race preview now. The Tuscarora 50, obviously one of Central PA's biggest events at Central PA's premier facility. Of course, that is the Port Royal Speedway. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, with Saturday paying $58,000 to the winner of the Tusky 50. The series full-timers, they will have their hands full. There's no doubt about that, with the potent PA posse drivers heading into one of the places where those drivers see nearly 20 nights of action over there at the Speed Palace. Earlier this year, however, it was high rollers sweeping the Bob Weicker Memorial Weekend, with Brent Marks and Aaron Ritzell grabbing feature wins. And last year, the 3 nights at the Tuscarora 50 were split between Brad Sweet, Aaron Ritzell, and the aforementioned Rico Abreu. So you could safely assume that the PA posse will be on their A game trying to get back to the winner's circle against the National Touring Series. Entering this weekend, Justin Whittle is the current Port Royal Speedway points leader on the strength of 1 feature win this year. Other winners in weekly action include Mike Walter, Anthony Macri, Ryan Smith, Chase Dietz, Logan and Mike Wagner, Lance DeWeese, Troy Wagaman, Jonathan Preston, and Dylan Sisney have all gotten at least 1 win there this year. And so you can expect maybe some of those names to be running towards the front of the field when High Limit gets to Central PA on Thursday night. We will be live on FloRacing at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're unable to attend the Speed Palace, it could be a major weekend for the High Limit Racing Championship fight. You won't want to miss it. Now, before we get into our second segment of this week's show, we want to remind you to definitely get a FloRacing subscription if you do not have one already. If you don't have one, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You must not be a big race fan, because there is racing every single night of the week on FloRacing, whether it's Flow 24/7, whether it's USAC Sprint Cars, Midgets, or Silver Crown, High Limit Racing, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the Cars Tour, the IRA. There is so much dirt racing and pavement racing alike on FloRacing every single night of the week. You need to get yourself a FloRacing subscription. Go to FloRacing.com and get that checked off of your list. Now, Rico Abreu, he is on a heater right now, heading into this weekend at the Tuscarora 50, getting 3 in a row at the Skagit Speedway, and he leaves with the points lead in the championship with just 15 races to go. He caught up with Brian Walker in this session of After the Checkers.
After the Checkers, night 3 of the Skagit Nationals wrapped up amid some trailer shenanigans in the 24 pit. Last year, it's deja vu. Talked to you after a $102,000 win at Skagit. Tonight, $126K, richest win of your career. Let's go through that race first off. You're starting third. I know Ricky Warner, crew chief, was really pumped about that one. What's the strategy going into the race and then tracking down Tyler Thompson and Justin Peck?
Yeah, I mean, I knew just dissecting my car the last few nights, the last 10 laps of the race really came to life when our fuel load burned off. So I definitely was just trying to be patient and get myself in position. I think that as I was just preying on, getting to lap traffic and allowing the race to develop. And we never really got there the first half of the race, but I was trying to figure out how many laps it took to get to traffic. And I knew that first run was like 9 laps. We did the 9 laps and got into some traffic, and the pace started to change pretty quickly. So, I talk about my team a lot because they work really hard on getting my car comfortable for me. And I think when you really look at the infrastructure of my team and us being together for 4 years, from Brady Forbrook to Zach Middlebrooks to our crew chief, our leader of the pack here, Ricky Warner, it's just a team that's worked well together, over the years, and we just are very fortunate to be in this position.
I was eavesdropping on the podium. I mean, you and Peck were talking afterwards. I think it was you said, the harder you drove tonight, the worse you were. And he said the opposite. He was like, the harder I drove, the better. What goes into, as a driver, the mechanics of like studying that and learning what is best for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really, I think you just, as a driver, you got to pick up on those things and what your car needs, and, work a little give and take there with the crew chief. And I figured that out, on Thursday night, that my car didn't really like to be charged in the corner where the right rear corner was, higher than the left front corner. So I really tried to manipulate that when I was driving, and then I just kept asking Ricky for a little bit more squeeze to get the corner down lower, and it helped me just get to the apex of the corner quicker. And I focused on turning off the wall to the center of the corner and allowing my right rear just to be squeezed the whole time. And those are just things we work on as a team, and hurts us on some real short track stuff, like when we come out west. And we're really looking forward to getting here to Skagit, and we went play by play off our notes from last year. So I thought that was really good for the team's confidence, just to get in this position and to go right off your notebook and have speed right away.
Tonight was the 100th event for Kubota High Limit Racing. I would say, I think I was joking with Brady. Me, you, Brady, and Zach, we've been to all the races except for the first one, which...
That one doesn't count.
Exactly. You're one of the biggest supporters of Kubota High Limit Racing. You're the all-time wins leader. You're running away with that right now. What does this series mean to you and your team?
I've just found something I really, enjoy supporting. And it starts with the people, right? With Brad and Kyle, you guys, your guys' personalities coming to the track. You really start to enjoy that stuff, and you build friendships off of it. And I look at this sport as, we're traveling all around the country and the racing's intense, but when you look at the big picture of it and the interaction between the fans and the racers, and the fans enjoying their evenings at the races, if they're coming to the races on a Monday night, if they're coming to them on a Sunday night and they got to get up at 5 a.m. To work on Monday morning, we're over at 9 o'clock. I think just the whole atmosphere that High Limit's created, it makes it really enjoyable to be a part of. And I see that, and I see the growth of our sport right now with, two national series competing against each other, and we having these amazing crown jewel events, one on the West Coast, and, the Outlaws are in the Dakotas right now racing for some good funds. And it's just, the sport is very healthy, and the fans see that, they thrive off of that, and then they get to come see some badass racing. And I think when you get to tracks like this, and they just keep accelerating year after year, and the fans really start to enjoy that, and they understand the process of it all, and we're over pretty early for them to get home and enjoy their nights. It's all the little detail stuff, and I've seen Brad really work on that with High Limit, and and now he's got to navigate the second half of this thing where we got to keep accelerating things and getting linear television races, and the Flow broadcast does an amazing job just with the presentation of our sport. When you have the viewership, those numbers are pretty impressive when they lay that stuff out to us drivers and team owners to see really where the sport's going.
Yep. Last year you won Skagit Nationals, you won Tusky the week after. You gonna do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. We got to get our truck and trailer there first, and our team can't unravel here. We're already knocking trophies over and yelling at each other. So,
and hey, you got 126 grade.
Yeah, this is
spinning
badass.
On though. After the trucks with Rico, we're going to Pennsylvania. It's the Tusky next week.
Let's do it.
All right, jumping into the third segment on this week's show. Of course, when we talk about the third segment, we want to talk about nxtbets.com/playhlr, which is the website you go to if you are interested in wagering for real cash and winning real cash on High Limit Racing events. Go over there and claim a sign-up bonus, see which sports books are available in your region. Brian Walker is the expert when it comes to the betting with High Limit Racing. And, well, Brian, even if you had Rico Abreu all 3 nights, his odds were pretty low over there at Skagit. I think he was the favorite every single night, so you would have had to put some serious cash on him to win a lot. But still, if anybody had him all 3 nights, maybe they're looking pretty good after this weekend.
He was actually the second favorite on Thursday. Brad Sweet was actually favored more, but then after Thursday, his odds kept getting lower. He was he opened at 270, and then he went to 170, and then by Saturday when he was locked in, it was 130, and you would have had to put a chunk of change on Rico to actually come out ahead, but that you'll have that when you're when you're clearly the best car at the track that weekend.
Yeah, it's still plus money, though. That's still pretty good. But now heading into this weekend, obviously at Port Royal Speedway, there are a lot of options, I feel like, for guys that you could maybe sprinkle $5 or $10 on. I mentioned at the top of the show here some of the guys that have won main events this year at Port Royal. Mike Walter, Logan Wagner, Mike Wagner, Justin Whittle, Dylan Cisney. I feel like when you show up to Port Royal, Brian, any of those guys are a factor. So there could be some options, maybe throw a couple bucks on heading into this weekend over at the nxtbets.com/PlayHLR website.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when we get the list. Obviously, we're recording right now on Labor Day. First race is Thursday, so it's coming up quick, and we can, oh my gosh, we're recording live. Chase, were you watching Port Royal? There was just a last lap pass for Labor Day Classic.
It's right out that door over there is my living room, and I had it on, but then now we're recording. So did Parker not win?
Parker did not win. He was leading by like 1/10 of a second on the last lap, and Brock Zierfoss just passed him to win the Labor Day Classic. So, yeah, we'll just read off the top 5 of some guys. Brock Zierfoss, PPM, Chase Dietz, both the Wagners, Mike Wagner, Logan and Wagner, Cisney ran 6th, Whittle was 8th. There's lots of guys you can watch this weekend for the Tusky 50 that are not high rollers.
Yeah, Zierfoss was not on my list earlier on because the race had not finished. So add Brock Zierfoss to the list of winners this year at Port Royal Speedway. But Tony, let's get to you now. 3 nights over at Skagit Speedway. I know you're lonely. We haven't talked to you yet. But hey, 3 nights at Skagit. Rico Abreu wins all of them. $156,000 weekend sweep. And I mentioned it in the preamble to the show. There was 100 laps of main event action this weekend. He only led 22 of them and was able to win all 3 races. Pretty crazy stuff.
I mean, when was the last time you saw a guy come from the same spot outside the top 5 to win 2 nights in a row? I mean, seriously, that's a stat probably only Wikipedia knows. I liked that stat you put up, Brian. I think it was about the last time a driver swept a 3-day national show and how far back it's been since that happened. I mean, to come from 7th both nights, right? I'll be the first one to say it. You know, one of the tough things about wing sprint car racing is, you know, guys get into traffic and dirty air, and it's hard to make your car work the way you want. So if you're buried outside the front 2 rows, your chances of winning aren't always awesome. But Rico Abreu put that to rest, man. From 7th to 1st, 2 nights in a row. And then from 3rd on Saturday night, I know they weren't happy with having to do a redraw and having to run a dash. You know, they figured, hey, we're High Point, man. We should get the benefit, the roses that come with being a High Point, man. And there was a point. I know that people talked about it. I thought Justin Peck was in a really, really good spot. Tyler Thompson, nobody's asking who's that anymore, right? But yeah, Rico, just like you said, the best car at the track all weekend. I think Brian said it. He obviously has that place figured out. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Ricky Warner was good there in the past with Donnie at the Outlaw races when they'd go up there. So, you just can't say enough about the stride those guys are hitting. And Rico and Ricky and Zach and Brady, they clearly have something they like. It's extremely comfortable to Rico right now, and he looked phenomenal. I don't know what's more impressive, to come from 3rd on such a big important night or to come from 7th 2 nights in a row. That was a good weekend of passing wing sprint cars, if that's what you're into.
Yeah, I think he led with 5 to go, then 8 to go, then 9 to go. In one of those ways, it was some order. I don't remember the exact order, but yeah, he only led the race within the last 10 laps. So if you're going to win all 3 nights, at least he made it exciting, made it interesting there down the stretch. So impressive stuff from Rico. Obviously, he is the big storyline coming out of Skagit Speedway. The other big storyline, of course, Brian, is that we have 3 different points leaders in 3 nights in a row. It started out going in with Brad Sweet, then after night 1, it was Sanders, then it went back to Brad Sweet, and then Rico, who entered 71 points out of the lead, had cut it all the way down to under, obviously, 70 to take the championship lead heading into Port Royal. I thought maybe the championship battle was starting to cool off a little bit, Brian, but it's heated right back up.
7 lead changes on the entire season, 4 different teams. KKR, RSR, CMR, and now RAR. Lots of R's in there, but yeah, it's been, and we still have, I think it's 15 or 16 races left. Brent Marks is still very quietly involved. I mean, if Rico can make up that amount of points at Skagit, Brent Marks very well could at Port Royal. I mean, it just takes things going the right way. I have no idea what's going to happen between now and Port Royal. What did I know? I picked Rico to win the championship back on the first one. Who did you guys go with?
I think I took Brad. I'm pretty sure I had Brad.
I think was Tony 7BC.
Well, Tony's muted, so we can't hear him. There you go.
I was trying to laugh. I was like, it's so funny you bring that up, Brian, because either late last night or this morning, I was just thinking about that. Yes, I picked the 7BC, and then for the midweek, I picked Ritzell and the 87. But yeah, Brian, you're looking pretty smart right now.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but it will be interesting. What do we have? We have 3 nights at Port, Lernerville, Eldora, Path Valley, and Bridgeport. Path Valley mainly, I think, is going to throw a wrench into things. That could really do that. And that's like the one bull ring in the country that Brent Marks really, really loves. And then you got Texas is an oddball, Lucas Oil, Lakeside. Man, I don't. If we had to re-pick today, I think I'd keep my 24 pick.
Yeah, I would too. I would tail you on that one for sure. Rico's looking solid going down the stretch here, just 15 races to go. Now, a guy that is not looking too solid here as of recently, in fact, having the worst 3-race stretch in 5 years. Brad Sweet, 13th, 15th, and 19th, including 2 B mains and actually all 3 nights he was in the B main. Needed a provisional as well. So it was a tough weekend for Brad Sweet there, Tony. I looked it up. This is the first time in 5 years since he was outside the top 10 in 3 straight races. And the funny thing is, I guess I don't know if it's funny, but interestingly, during that 3-race stretch in 2020 when this last happened was my first ever pit reporting job with the Outlaws at Terre Haute when that whole thing started. So, but Brad Sweet, just a tough weekend overall. Had the issue on night 1 hitting the wall in the heat race. Then he blew a motor in the heat race the next night. I mean, it was just a weekend to forget for KKR.
Yeah, definitely. And, had a honestly, in terms of discussions you get to have with Brad, it was kind of a lengthy one, brief in the grand scheme of things, but a lengthy one considering how busy Brad is and the time you can get with him before the night begins. And yeah, it was just some mechanical woes. Just they've been through personnel changes. I mean, there's no way to dance around it, right? We started this show back at the beginning of the season talking about how's Brad Sweet going to do at Ty Wolfgang with Eric Pretzman moving over to the 9. Well, that feels like it was a lot more than what's it been, 5 or 6 months. That feels like it's been a year or so ago now. Eric Pretzman completely gone from Casey Kane Racing, no longer even involved with the 9. The 9 doesn't even travel anymore. The 9's crew comes over after Ty Wolfgang, is sort of excused from his duties on the 49. Then he elects to leave KKR altogether. So they've been through personnel changes like crazy. And I think anyone in the sport, even guys on our side of it, like putting on the events, would agree that it's all about the people, right? And we all have multiple years of doing this together. And if we're good at our jobs, it's because we've got years doing it together. Same thing goes for the race team. And it's nothing at all against the individuals on that team. It's just that they haven't had the time. Jared Martin, newest addition to the team. People know him from Keith Coon's Motorsports days. I got to know him in 21 doing midget stuff. Andrew Bowman comes back to Brad Sweet after being on the 9. He won some championships with Brad at the World of Outlaws. And then you got Tate Williamson, who also came over from Casey Kane's number 9. And just some personnel deals that left some opportunities for things to go awry out in Washington. And Brad was honest about that. His team was honest about it. So some mechanical preparation issues you don't see very often on the 49. I don't expect them to continue, not by a long shot. Remember, Casey Kane is still involved. He's technically the crew chief on that race car, so he's involved. He's overseeing everything. And a really uncharacteristic weekend for Brad Sweet and the 49 crew. Certainly expect to see them turn around. Didn't he win a prelim at Port Royal last year? So he's obviously going back to a track that they know they can be fast and can win at. But yeah, not the weekend he or that team needed for the championship. How long's it been since Brad Sweet wasn't leading a national championship fight, whether it's the Outlaws or High Limit this late in the season? But Brad did tell me, he said, it's still everyone else's job to beat me. Well, that was going into Saturday night. Now it's his job to go beat Rico Abreu. But as of Saturday afternoon, when he was on top of the points, no nerves, no pressure, no anxiety from Brad Sweet. He's of the belief that I've been there, I've done it, whether I'm in the point lead or not, it's their job to come beat me. And whether he's in the point lead or not, I'm sure that's still how he feels about it all.
That's a good point. I mean, 15 races to go. I would have to think over the last 5 years, the last 6 years when except for 2019 when him and Donnie were very close coming down the stretch. I mean, the Brad Sweet has not been on the offense trying to catch up in a championship in a long time. He's always been on defense. He's always had that, last year, he was cruising away there. A 200-point lead, I think, at the end of the year. So definitely a good point there, Tony, when it comes to him and the 49 team. They did win a night at Port Royal last year, but, historically, looking at the stats at Port Royal has not been one of Brad's greatest racetracks. We'll see how they do after a tough weekend over there in Skagit, which is one of his better tracks, and it's crazy to see them struggle like that. Now, speaking of Skagit, Brian, how about the locals this weekend? There was a couple of them that had really good weekends. Of course, Colton Heath is probably the one that stands out maybe the most, and Tyler Thompson. Heath led laps on Thursday, ended up on the podium, was in the top 10 on the Saturday finale. You had Jason Solwald in the top 10. Robbie Price ran second one of the nights. Colin Mackey was maybe the biggest surprise, top 10 on the Thursday night. And then Tyler Thompson's not a Skagit local, but a Northwest guy from Oregon. A fourth place run on Saturday. I think somebody told me he got a check for like 20 grand or something for the week over at Skagit. It was super cool to see all those guys have solid runs and show that the Skagit locals have something to contend with when the high limit guys come to town.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show how much effort has been put into bringing that track back to like weekly 410 racing, weekly 360 racing, obviously, right? Like we were looking at results from the 2018 Skagit Nationals or something on the drive to the airport the other night, me and Carini, and there were no locals. It was Trey Starks, Robbie Price, and all the Outlaws and some California cars came up. Like there were 24 cars total on the weekend. Like that was it. There wasn't a B main, anything. And we go back this year and there's almost 40 cars. There's so many good locals. Obviously, I think they said Saturday night they've paid out like $1 million to their teams in 2025, right? So they're obviously building a great program there for their weekly stuff, for their championship programs. And I think that you're really seeing the fruits of it right now. Colton Heath told me after the checkers, he was like, it was the happiest first to third run of his life. That was like 3,000. Jason Solwald got like 6,000 for running well on Friday night. Just fourth place alone on Saturday paid $15K for Tyler Thompson. So, and they're all being rewarded too. They're making good money and they're showing up when the big dogs come to town. So it's really exciting to see. Colin Mackey was top 10, right?
Yeah, he was on Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good to see. I'm excited to see how they keep improving when we go back next year. And hopefully we can start bringing some of them down to Gold Cup. That's me and Carini. We were about to start walking the pits and asking them all what it takes to get down to Chico.
Yeah, might need to, I don't know what you got to do to get them down there, but we need them. That would be great to have those guys make their way down there to Chico. Now, another guy that had a really, what's that, Tony?
Hey, how are you going to ask Brian about the locals at Skagit and not talk to him or highlight the fact that he might as well be a local at the Angel of the Winds bowling alley where he and TJ Nichols picked up some serious cash and finished second in Kevin and Monica Rudin's high roller bowler tournament. Brian Walker went in as the absolute underdog. I don't think anybody had him picked to do what he went out there and did. And he puts TJ Nichols on his back and they go out there and they steal a bunch of the Rudin's family's money. And that was the story of the weekend for me, I think.
Well, everybody's got a little Rudy in them. I had a little Rudy in me.
You have a lot of the Rudin's money in you now.
Ask Chase how my practice rolls went to start.
Yeah, he didn't look too good to practice, and I would say it was more TJ Nichols was Brian was on TJ's back there. He had a turkey, I think, at one point. I was on the same lane as them, and I guess I didn't do enough shit talking, and they just pulled away from us. I think Anthony and I were close to fifth or sixth, I think, at the end of the thing. But next year there will be more shit talking when the bowling's going on to try and get in people's heads. But the other guy that did not run well, that we were expecting to be a contender every single night, Tony, was Trey Starks. Of course, he had a second car running with Dominic Selzy, but Starks, non-factor fill all weekend long, missed the show one of the nights. I don't think he ran top 10 any of the three nights we were there, which was a really big surprise.
Yeah, and I got a chance to talk to Trey for one of our pre-race interviews, and you know what was funny is it was after it would have been Friday before the race began. Thursday, I think, was the night they missed. I know Thursday was the night they missed the show altogether. I think that was the only night they missed the show. Looking here, yeah, Friday he ran 20th, and then on Saturday he ran 12th. So Thursday he finished 16th in the B? Yeah, 16th in the B. Did not make it in. And that was the point of the interview, was I just got to it, right? First, I asked him about his shaft, because he was wearing a shirt that said, ask me about my shaft. And then after that, it was like, hey, dude, you won at Grays Harbor with us, and then you came here on night one of Skagit last year in 24, and you won that. What's going on? And, you know, I like Trey a lot. Nobody's ever going to tell you completely what's going on. I think they just sort of missed the mark. I don't think it was anything catastrophic. You know, yeah, they had Dominic Selzy in the pit. He's pretty distracting, you know, but I don't think they certainly weren't chalking anything up to having a second car to worry about. I just think they came in and everybody told us, the locals and the guys that race up there occasionally said, hey, you know, this Skagit dirt is different. I had a really good discussion with Carly Holmes, you know, Tanner Holmes' crew chief and sister, and she just talked about how the dirt here can sometimes really re-moisturize really quickly due to the humidity in the air. And you might think it's kind of blown off and it's going one way, and then say you get a long yellow or a red flag and the dirt doesn't keep air on it, and it can go back to being a little bit heavier. And yeah, Trey just missed the mark. I think they were chasing something all weekend. They got better as the weekend went along. What did I say? 12th, I think, on Saturday in the finale. So clearly they got closer to where he went from 22nd to 12th on Saturday. So that's definitely nothing to sleep on. But yeah, very surprising compared to the performance we saw out of him 1 year ago. And you know, it was cool 1 year ago. Remember, he stood in Whiskey Myers Victory Lane with us at Grays Harbor less than like 10 days after their first child, Rowan, was born. And Rowan was at the track all 3 nights, hanging out with Trey and his wife and Dominic Selzy, which that just cannot be a good influence at all for any small child to be around. And yeah, so I just think they were chasing their tails all weekend. They were searching for stability in the car, all 4 corners, and they got it as they got closer to the end of the weekend. But man, if they had a 4th night, who knows what could happen? Definitely not the weekend they're used to having out there for sure, though.
Yeah, he ended up being a hard charger there on Saturday, I believe, and got an extra $400 from the Alberta boys.
Alberta boys.
Yep, for that hard charger effort. So. Another guy I did want to mention here, Brian, a $26,000 third place run on Saturday, the best run of his career, first podium with high limit. Dason Pursley had a phenomenal weekend, was in the top 10 all 3 nights, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's correct. He was quick time on Thursday as well. Just a standout performance there from him in his Skagit Speedway debut, mind you. No crew chief there on the grounds as well. A very impressive performance from Dason Pursley, and he is just getting better and better. It seems like every weekend that goes by.
Yeah, that is the craziest part too. Like Sean Straussball is at home. Him and Dason are obviously texting and calling back and forth. But yeah, it's he'll have him back this weekend at Port. But yeah, what they did, really the whole West Coast also as well. I mean, he did strong at Gold Cup too. Went to Douglas County. I think he ran top 10 again there. And then the whole weekend at Skagit. Yeah, it was just really incredible. In a different interview, Tyler Thompson related Skagit to Chili Bowl. I saw just like I've never driven a sprint car, obviously, but I don't know. I guess the speed of the sprint car and the sizing of the track equates to what the midget is with the Chili Bowl. So, and we obviously know Dason's pretty good in Tulsa, so maybe that played a part into him getting up to speed so quick there. But it was pretty cool to see. I hope Dason continues, running as well as he is right now. He's obviously leading the Race Routine Rookie of the Year battle, and it's good to have a new, fresh face in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And to close out things on Skagit, a $40,000 second place run for Justin Peck. Second Thursday lead laps, second Saturday lead laps, and I want to say he was in the top 10 again on Friday night as well. This was the best full weekend performance we've seen from that team in a long time, it seems like, Tony. They have been struggling for the last couple of weeks. A lot of runs outside the top 10. And it was good to see them turn things back around at the place where they should turn it back around. When the boss is there, it's the boss's race, and he's obviously watching them very closely. Led 32 laps on Saturday, comes up one spot short of a 6-figure payday.
Yeah, no doubt, right? And part of me was almost scared when Justin Peck was leading and running so well because you guys know we have some real scholars that follow this sport and some folks that probably could be teaching college courses, but instead elect to just get on Facebook and make stupid comments. I got really worried for a little bit there while Justin was leading because I thought, man, if he wins this, what kind of crazy, just unbased, lowbrow theories are going to come out about, oh, well, he's got Skagit Speedway on the car. They rigged it for him. And it's like, you know, you go sit down. Like, don't worry. The adults are talking. I wish they could have won. You know, you don't pull for anybody in our position, whether it's Rico or Justin or a non-full-timer or a high roller, whatever, right? You want to see the guy that wins at least earn it. And Rico certainly did that. Justin Peck and Tyler Tessmaker and everybody on that crew were very, very close to earning it. Justin made an interesting comment to me on Friday, and I referenced this in my interview with him on the podium. He told me on Friday about, this is speaking about Thursday now, Justin said, you know, when Rico flew around me, because remember, he was leading on Thursday night as well, when Rico got around him, and Justin said, when Rico got around me, a lot of times your instinct is to just, drive way, way, way harder, and you got to get back by that guy, and you don't have any time. And Justin said, no, I sat there and rode for a lap or two and watched Rico and changed a little bit of what I was doing and learned about what he was doing. And then he joked and said, I knew there was no way I was keeping up with him Thursday night. And then he went on to say, oh, you know, but we think we can do what we have to do to be there Saturday night. And man, they looked great on Saturday. He told me about how they feel like whatever the big issue on that car has been, they had solved that this weekend and they were just chasing the small things. And, you know, the other comment I want to make is because it's Skagit Speedway and because they're in the Pacific Northwest and because Kevin and Monica, and I believe her parents were there, you'd think, wow, this has got to be a pressure cooker for Justin Peck. There's no way that guy can even think straight with the track that his car is sponsored by and his car owner there. But I'll tell you this over and over and over again, whether it was Corey Eliason who drove that car a couple of years ago, Zeb Wise when he raced it last year with us, Justin this year, Tyler Tessmaker, the longtime crew chief, everybody says the same thing. And that is that Kevin Rudeen is the world's, you know, just like if you could build the perfect car owner, it'd be Kevin Rudeen. He doesn't get in their way. Everybody raves about how all he does as a car owner is provide them the resources to do what they need to do. He doesn't get in and start saying, well, you guys should be running these bars and why aren't you doing this with the gearing and yada, yada, yada. So I was really happy to see Justin and Tyler Tessmaker and Brandon and Aaron have a good night, a good weekend out there. What is it? 2 feature victories they've got with us already this year. So they talk about how bad they've been. They haven't been terrible, but yeah, as of late, they missed a night, I think, at Gold Cup. They certainly are not where they want to be. And they continue to just kind of chase ghosts with that Ford engine. So yeah, really good to see those guys turn it around. And man, you could see it when he got on the podium Saturday night. I don't know if he had been emotional in the car, but he certainly looked like it. He wanted to win that race very, very badly for his car owner, for the people there, for the fans of that team that live up there. That was a hard one. He admitted that he thought he gave it away, and that's a terrible way to lose a race. Really, really tough night to end a good weekend for Justin.
Yeah, it was. We'll see if they can keep that speed up going into this weekend at the Tuscarora 50, which is where I wanted to kind of switch gears, although I did want to mention this as well. We did see on the big screen that they are going to make next year's Skagit Nationals, quote, bigger and better. So we'll wait and see what that entails from Kevin Rudeen. We know that he tries to do some crazy stuff when it comes to these events. So we'll see if that continues into next year, which from the sounds of it, that will be happening. But now
it has to be bigger. It's the 2026 Skagit Nationals.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, come on. He puts $2,600 up to win a bowling tournament. Chase, you think this guy's going to mess around and keep a race of that magnitude at the same level year after year? I don't think so. Kevin Rudeen, he knows how to party.
He told me the bowling tournament money's going up too next year. So everything is going up. So that's always exciting. Now, switching gears to the Tuscarora 50, of course, one of the, crown jewels of Pennsylvania. I'm not going to call it a crown jewel in all of sprint car racing, but it is a crown jewel in Pennsylvania, no doubt about that. Big. I want to say it's $58,000 to win this year. Goes up $1,000 every single year. But one thing I did want to touch on, getting into this Tuscarora 50 talk is Aaron Ritzell. I was, listening to Jeremy Elliott a little bit at Sprint Car Unlimited. He had mentioned that he had talked to Brian Ridge, and the plan was to have Aaron Ritzell back behind the wheel. That was, I think, last week I heard that. So we'll see if that is still the case. We haven't seen anything on social media as of this recording. But, Tony, going into this weekend, Aaron Ritzell returning, if that is the case, do we expect that he was thinking he was going to come back in this situation with Justin Sanders in the car for 8 or so races? Did he think that he was going to come back and be 10 points out of the championship lead heading into Port Royal with a, broken foot that's sidelined him for this long? It's pretty crazy stuff that he's going to come back and be in this situation.
Yeah, it is, but also I don't know if it is, right? I think I remember, I remember talking to Aaron in the pits at Lucas Oil when we wrapped up the month of June out there with a 2-night show and then a 1-night midweek series race at the beginning of that to make it 3 nights total out there. And he said, I came into this year expecting to fight and to race for a championship. And, he said, I think at that point going into the year, they had already had 4 wins and then a couple quick times. And he said, if it all ended right now, I wouldn't be happy, but, I'd be surprised that we did as well as we did. I think Aaron's like all of us. He goes in with really, really big goals, but he also has done this for a long time. He knows that it's not as easy as just snapping your fingers. He has to race against Brad Sweet and Brett Marks and at that point, Tyler Courtney and Rico Abreu every single night. So, was he expecting this or was he expecting to come back after the injury? I don't know. I'm very interested on the return possibilities, right? Because his wife Shelby texted me, I want to say Monday or Tuesday of Gold Cup week when we were out at Chico, getting stuff ready for the 3 nights out there. And she texted me after the x-rays and said that the doctors told them 3 weeks, would be the minimum, until he could be back in the car. Well, that's 1 weekend at Chico and then 1 weekend at Gold Cup. I don't know where the 3-week line is drawn. I don't know if they were told a certain date and I don't know, right? I'm very excited. I think this is a very likely place for him to come back, right? Because Port Royal is a big, fast, wide half mile. It's not the very rough, technical, choppy bull rings that we see out on the West Coast. So yeah, is this a much more convenient scenario for him to come back? Yeah, probably. I'm interested on where that 3-week deadline falls in relation to the getting on track Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah, I think this is right up Aaron's wheelhouse. He gets to come back in. That car is on a ton of momentum. They are rolling downhill. They are picking up speed, and he can jump back in. And we know that car has been lights out in qualifying. Every time Aaron or Justin Sanders gets in it, it's been up there at the top of the time charts. It feels like every couple of nights. So, and qualifying is super important in this kind of racing. So Aaron can jump back into a fast race car. They've done a great job maintaining that thing. Sanders has done phenomenal at keeping it where it needs to be. I don't know if he planned it, Chase, but this is a great scenario for Aaron Ritzell to come back into.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back to Port Royal, as you mentioned, it's going to be a place where it's usually relatively smooth.
He's won there.
He's won there this year. He's won the Tuscarora 50 before, Brian. So, he's won there 4 times by my count. So, it's going to be, hopefully he is back because I think that, it could be a very good weekend for him. We've seen what Justin Grant could do, with a broken foot inside the race car. I think a almost healed up Aaron Ritzell can be very dangerous, heading into this weekend if he does come back. Now, the other thing that's going on when it comes to the full-time drivers, we saw Darren Pittman in the 14 at Skagit. Had some mixed results. You needed a provisional one of the nights, made the show all 3 nights, but still, they seem to struggle. But now Trey Starks, who we were talking about a minute ago, he'll be in that car this coming weekend at Port Royal Speedway for the 3 nights there. He's won 2 races before. He's won a Tuscarora 50 prelim night before. So we'll see what Starks can do as the musical chairs of the Jason Myers Racing 14 continues on this weekend.
Yeah, it's man, what's the lineup? We had Pittman last week. We had Starks this week. Then we get Sanders for 2 weekends. Then Corey Day gets back in it at the Berg. Corey's in a full weekend at Bridgeport and Path Valley. We get Justin back for Lernerville to put Corey in it at Lucas Oil or at Lakeside for Sanders, Lucas Oil for Corey, and Sanders to round out the year. It's definitely going to be something to keep up with. Trying to finish the year, they're ninth in points. They're slipping a little bit, especially after Skagit, as good as a weekend as the 13 had. Dason really kind of pulled away there for Book. That's a spot for JMR that if they can get it, that's an extra $20,000 in franchise value for next year. So every point really matters. And, Starks this weekend, a good choice, but definitely like a kind of off the wall, interesting one. Obviously being out in Pennsylvania before, he'll be fine, I think. I think more than anything, the biggest thing is just getting up to speed with a new crew and a new car. But it will definitely be very interesting to see how they run this weekend for the one and only weekend they're together.
Yeah. So Trey in it this weekend, 3 nights at Port Royal. And then, just kind of also talk about the Tuscarora 50 here. It's one of those places, like when we went to California, we expect the California locals to put up a challenge to the high rollers. Now we can talk about the Skagit locals put up a challenge to the high rollers as well. When you go to Ohio, that's going to be the case as well. But PA may be the toughest when these guys get there. There's so many good cars in Pennsylvania. They run Port Royal 15, 16, 17 times a year. We've already talked about how crazy this championship could be, Brian, and we saw, I think it was either this Bob Weichert or the Tuscarora 50 last year, a lot of high rollers needed provisionals to make the show. It could be another big shakeup here. And you mentioned Brent Marks earlier. He's 99 points back of Rico. If Brent Marks can do what we know he can do at Port Royal, he can make up some serious ground this coming weekend for 3 nights.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're all 3-point races, right? One thing to note is I guess Thursday and Friday are going to be your typical high limit format, but then Saturday obviously it's the Tusky format, so that'll shake things up. But we're doing point races all 3 nights. Anything can happen, like we just saw at Skagit. Maybe Brad Sweet and the KKR crew completely figure it out and they go back. They're 35 behind right now. The way the point system is set up with you get those bonus points for winning, for running on the podium over the rest of the field. It really allows people like Rico when you show up and show out, you're going to make up points in a hurry, and when you struggle, you're going to lose points in a hurry. So 3 nights at Port will definitely shake things up even more than what they already have been.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing who's going to come out on top for the 3 nights over there. We're expecting a really solid field. I would expect probably 40 cars all 3 nights at least, and then probably on Saturday with that different format, maybe even get closer to 50, 45. There's going to be a really strong contingent over there going for that $58,000 paycheck at the end. Tony, what do you have to say about Tuscarora 50 weekend, Port Royal Speedway? We already talked about earlier in the show how many different guys have won a race there in 2025. Brock Searfoss added his name to it today. There's almost 10 different guys that have won a race there this year. So there's going to be a lot of guys to watch for to take down that win Saturday.
Yeah. I know Justin Whittle had some heartbreak there earlier in the year, and he's always just like, I don't know how to say it. I think he's just one of those quietly fast guys that you have to, worry about when you go out there. Anthony Macri, his program on these half miles has always been good, but look at it this year. He was so strong at Eldora, right? Obviously picks up the Kings Royal victory out there. He's just good when it matters, right? And they've got that program rolling. He's a home state Pennsylvania guy. And that's the name of the game. I hit on this a couple times over our West Coast swing, mostly because I had some friends in the stands who had never been to a sprint car race before, and I was explaining to them before Douglas County, and I hit on it during the broadcast. That is what makes sprint car racing great, right? You go to all these different tracks with all this different kind of dirt and all these different kinds of conditions, and then you also have to contend with that region's local drivers, and that is what makes Kubota High Limit Racing, the World of Outlaws, National Sprint Car Racing amazing, because you never go places in other sports where, you might have to deal with this group of athletes, teams that you don't have to deal with the rest of the year, but when you're there, you do. And so I don't know, I don't like to get into the business of picking because I'm usually never right. And all I can tell you is Tuscarora 50 Port Royal weekend. There might be some turkey dinners put down. Chase, I heard a rumor you and I are going to be serving some of those turkey dinners and pie over at the church stand. And I think that's going to be a strategy where I go, okay, 2 for you, 1 for me. Oh, you people would like 2? That's 1 for me. And I'm looking forward to that. The fair is always fun, and it's a good time out there at Port Royal. Comfortable time of the year, fun place to go. And I hear we're going to be doing one of these high limit rooms on location, #special edition, when we get out there, just like we did at the Weikert back in May. So, quick little 8-hour drive. I think Brian and Jake and I are going to knock that out, and we'll be there Wednesday night. So it'll be fun.
8-hour drive, not too bad compared to the teams who I'm guessing right about now, it's 4 p.m. on Monday. They're probably making their way through, I don't know, Montana,
Nebraska.
Wyoming, Nebraska. They're somewhere making their way across the country. So hopefully everybody makes it over there safely to Port Royal, and we will see you guys there. Like Tony mentioned, next week's show will be a special edition from the pit area for the high limit room at the Tuscarora 50, so make sure to stay tuned for that. We may even have the winner of the race on next week's high limit room episode as well. So Brian and Tony, thanks for jumping on. Hopefully all of you folks watching out there on YouTube or FloRacing.com enjoyed this episode of the High Limit Room, and we'll do it all again next week. Make sure to tune in this weekend. High Limit Racing in action at Port Royal Speedway for a $58,000 to win race. If we don't see you there, make sure to watch on Flo. We'll talk to you guys again next week here on the High Limit Room.